Hello, and welcome to our second podcast in the Marine Podcast series. We continue our discussion with Jan Van Oos, Vice President of Marine Industry at Siemens Digital Industries Software, and Dale Tutt, Vice President of Industry Strategy at Siemens. Both Jan and Dale have an extensive background in their respective industries, holding leadership positions with several decades of experience. Our last podcast introduced the marine industry topic, with both Jan and Dale discussing the drivers and trends affecting the marine industry and steps that are being taken to move it to the next level of technology. In today's second podcast in this series, we're going to tackle the subject of sustainability, which was mentioned in our previous podcast, along with a focus on digital transformation. However, Jan, let's dive a little deeper into that subject. So specifically, how does sustainability impact the marine industry in terms of issues like carbon emissions or fuel infrastructure?
Yeah, no, I talked about sustainability already a bit, and everybody is focusing on the carbon footprint to reduce that. That's very important. But you've got more on sustainability on board a vessel. It's not only the carbon footprint, but it's also how is the ship affecting the environment, and then you can talk about not only emission to air, but also emission to water, and also emission noise. You see in coastal waters where we install all those windmills, there's a lot of regulations to reduce noise for the sea life which is there. If you are positioning those big piles and you are hammering them into the ground, then all the fish is going away. So it's noise, it's water, it's air. So there's more in sustainability, and you can improve that also with all kinds of simulation, so that you can simulate the noise, simulate what an effect it has on the surrounding, on let's say the distance of where the ship is operating. So it's much more than only carbon emission. And let's say if you look at the value chain around building a ship, a shipyard is an assembly company. They are assembling steel, they are assembling equipment, and all kinds of other material like electric cables. But the whole value chain, 40 to 70% of what is being used on a ship is supplied by co-makers, subcontractors, and suppliers. So if you look at sustainability, it's not only, let's say, it's beginning with the end product, but it's already starting with building the ship with the supply chain. Where is the steel coming from? Is it zero carbon steel, or is the equipment built in a sustainable way? Or is the subcontractor complying with all the rules and regulations which the owner is setting when they sign the contract? So also controlling that supply chain with regard to sustainability is getting more and more important. I won't say that it's already being done from A to Z, but shipyards are starting, and when they do that, they need to have the right solutions in place to control that, because that's a lot of information which you have to add on top of the design of a vessel. And where also sustainability can play a big role is in reducing the weight of a vessel. With a car and also with a plane, the lighter the ship is, the less fuel you will burn because you have less resistance. And also with new materials, new constructions, also digitalization and simulation can help to improve sustainability. So it's much more than only the CO2 footprint. It's the whole ecosystem around building and designing a ship, which is affected by sustainability. And I think we are at the beginning of it, and shipyards are realizing that they have to start doing something about digitalization, not only for the design but for the whole value chain.
Wow, that's a lot of things to consider. As you were talking about that, I was thinking about the whole consideration around not only is it emissions to the air, but emissions to the water, and even the acoustic emissions of any of your operations. Many things to consider as you're thinking about the design, and as we think about other industries. When I work with a lot of our colleagues in the various industries, and thinking about how they're embracing digital transformation to go faster, to be much more sustainable, to change how they operate, their efficiencies. It really sounds like that's going to be a key part of what's needed here. And you talked about this earlier as well, as with the helping to maintain a ship, when it's being operated autonomously. But do you have some other specific examples that you can talk to about what digital transformation actually means for the marine industry?
Yeah, let's say if you look at the whole industry, and let's say, and then I talk about a digital life cycle of a vessel, then we are still facing some problems, but I will explain or elaborate a little bit on that. Let's say you have the shipbuilders who actually start with the requirements, design the vessel, build the vessel, and deliver the vessel to the operator. And then the operator will become the owner for quite a long period, let's say 20 to 25 years for a normal commercial ship, ending up 40 to sometimes 50 years for a naval ship. And they are operating, maintaining, converting the vessel until decommissioning. But between those two, let's say, areas of the marine industry, there is still a big wall. So those are two silos. And within those two silos, there are multiple silos. So what we have to do in our industry when we start to think about digital transformation, and the marine industry is quite conservative, so they already started quite fast with 2D and later on 3D design. But if you look at data management, they were not that fast, and they are still behind on other industries. And they know that they have to make the step to get everything connected. So not only, let's say, from a helicopter view, where you have the shipyards, the key suppliers, the class societies, which are important, and the clients. So you have 4 important parties which have to work together. And some of those parties, like, for instance, a supplier is starting to have a relation with the shipbuilder. But when the ship is delivered, the supplier will have a relation with the ship owner because the ship owner is using that equipment, and the class societies is there from the beginning until the end. So they are actually the red line. And you see also that they want to play a role in the digital twin of the vessel. So if you look at digital transformation, then it's starting, to my opinion, with the design, that the shipbuilder, designer is creating the digital twin. But when he has done that, he has to share that digital twin not only with class, so not sending drawings, but sending the model to class for approval. And they also have to, let's say, share the information as long as it's for services, because you have to think about all the IP rights, to share that with the owner, the ship operator, so they can use it, the digital twin, for their operation and maintenance. So, and let's say if you look at that, then and if we can connect all those parts together, then you can really have a digital twin throughout the life cycle, which can help the marine industry to improve and to really do digital transformation. So that's an important aspect. And let's say we are at the beginning, but if we let's say get our customers on the right way, I think within the coming years, the marine industry is joining hands and find the right way for the digital transformation of the shipping industry.
Yeah, that's great, Jan. So how can digitalization help designers optimize the entire ship as a system?
Yeah, if you look at how digitalization can help designers, that's a good one. I talked about the silos earlier, and within the design, there are still some silos, and those silos are mainly created because there's not a good data management system on top. They've got the CAD system, but then they are going to share things with drawings or with Excel sheets. But if you have a data management system on board, it's easier to get information out, or to ask suppliers, give access to the system, so they can pull information out, the latest information, latest revision, only the information they need, instead of that you are pushing it. And it's also costing quite some time to get and orchestrate all the information which you are sending to all those parties involved. And what I said before, 40 to 70% of equipment is coming from third parties, so that's quite a lot. So you have to manage a lot of information. So data management can really help ship designers and shipbuilders to improve the design and also the rest of the whole process, also the building process. But also, if you do that with your suppliers, you can do that with classification societies as well, because they have to approve everything. Clients have to approve. So you have always two, let's say, parties which are looking what you are doing. So every drawing has to be approved by classification, but also clients are looking, hey, is this in conformity with my contract? And they give a stamp on it and say approve before you can start with the next phase of design or with building. So having to organize that is quite challenging. And you can also imagine if ships are getting more complex, if we go to autonomous, giving more complexity, sustainability giving more complexity, then you cannot handle that anymore with a couple of engineers. You need to have something in place which can handle that amount of data. So there's absolutely a lot where digitalization can help a shipbuilder. And if you then have the design and then you start building, then you can use that information again on the shop floor. And that's where shipbuilders are not that far in at the moment. They are looking at it, but they are not using all the data already on the shop floor where you have the digital twin on the screen instead of the drawing. They are still very drawing based when it's coming about building a vessel. So there is lots of improvement possible. And if you then look at simulation, what can simulation bring not only in the design, simulating all kinds of hull forms to optimize fuel efficiency, but also simulating how a ship is being built. Because from my experience, we started to build, let's say how they called, let's say the building plan. But if you can simulate how to build it, and if you have 10 vessels under construction at the same time, how are you going to do that on your production line? But if you can simulate up front, you can get so much more efficiency out of your production line. And shipbuilders are not thinking like car manufacturers, and they've got 10 different ships on the same production lines or two lines, and car manufacturers are continuously building the same type of car. So it's also more difficult, but with the solutions nowadays, they can do that. And some of the shipbuilders already started simulating that, and they can get the bottlenecks out, or they can even improve their investments. So there's a lot what digitalization can do to help shipbuilders and designers.
Okay, and thanks for that, Jan. We're going to need to sign off for now for this second episode, but I want to thank both you, Jan Benos and Dale Tutt, for your contribution to this podcast. And I'd ask our listeners to please stay tuned for our upcoming third podcast, further exploring the marine industry and ship design and maintenance. So thanks for joining us. Goodbye for now.